arithmetic operators. So let's go over to comparison operators. Let's try and compare two values. Okay, let's compare. So we have the sign double equal to. So let's say 5 equal to 5. So this is comparison. You're trying to compare both of them to see what the computer is going to say. Let me say num1 equal to num2, or let's say num1 is not equal to num2 semicolon. So now let's run this code. Let's run this code and see. Wait, I didn't console. Okay, let's just print it out to see what we have here. Let's assign values to it. Let's resolve for number1 equal to. So I'm just going to copy this and do the same thing here and the same thing here, but I'm just going to change the name of the variable. So the stop screaming. Stop screaming. You are different. So 3. Because there's no problem anymore. Console dot log is what? Okay, for result 1. That is for first experiment. For result 2. And so for result 3. Okay, so let's see what we have. So you see, the first one, we're just asking, is 5 equal to 5? Because it's a comparison operator or comparison operation, it's going to return a true. It's returning a boolean value, true, which means 5 is equal to 5, right? The second one, num2, is num1 equal to num2. It's going to give us false, because number 1 and number 2 are totally different. Number 1 is 10, while number 2 is 12. So, and then the third one I said is number 1 not equal to number 2. So it's a statement though. So that's why it's saying true. They are not equal. So this is for comparison operator. Comparison is used to compare, just compare two values. Now, okay. So for this one, I want to show you something. You know that string 5 and 5 are two different values. So I just added a quotation mark to this value 5. So if I try to run it right now, it's going to tell me that Okay, sorry. What I'm trying to do is for equivalent. So this is the equivalent sound sign, the three equal to. So when you use this three equal to, it's asking is this equivalent to this? So when you try running it, it's going to say false because of the operator. Notice the change in the operator. So there are three equal to here, and there are two here, and both of them are different though. Because when you have just two here, it's asking is this number equal to this number? So, but for when you add three of them, it's showing is indicating equivalence. So still for comparison, we can check for greater than and less than. Greater than is 5. Well, let me just leave that one and use num1 and num2. Is num2 greater or less than? Is num2 greater than is num1 greater than num2? Run it. No, wait, I haven't been showing. Oh my god, I didn't scroll up. I was checking the previous answer and expecting it to change. So it is true. So because num1 is less than num2. Num1 is less than num2. So that's it for the comparison. The comparison operators. We also have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to this sign greater than or equal to less than or equal to, something like this. We have different comparison operators in programming because you're trying to compare two values. So let's go to logical operator. So logical operations will return true if both expressions are true. If both expressions are true, it will return to true. So if num1 is greater than num2, and this is an and sign, and num2 is less than num1. So this now is a logical operation. It's a logical operation. Now let's write it down. It can only return true if both expressions are true. So num1 is num1 greater than num2? No. So that's false. And is num2 less than num1? Still false. So if both expressions are false, it's going to return false. But if both expressions are true, less than and greater than, if both expressions are true, it's going to return true. Look at it. So it's returning true as the result. So this is an and sign, and we also have an or sign. So two double strokes. One num2 is false. So for or, if num1 is less than, this is saying if num1 less than, or okay, greater than num2, is false. Or is num1 less than, greater than num2. So the both expressions are false. So that's why it is returning false. So now this one is true. Let's check for or, who is going to return the same. Now it's returning true. So if any of the expression is true, the or sign is going to return true. The or sign is going to return true. But if it's and, the and needs both expressions to be true for it to return true. But for or, either of them can be true and it will return true. The way I would explain this better for you to understand is representing them as zeros and ones. So if it is true, it is 1. If it is false, it is 0. So when you evaluate this now and say, is num1 greater than num2? False, that means 0, right? Now the second expression is num2 greater than num1. It is true, which is 1. So the first expression here is 1. The second expression here is, sorry, the first one is 0, the second one is 1. And for or, you just do the addition. 0 plus 1 is 1, so it's going to return true. But for and, if either of them is 0, it's going to return false. So both of them needs to be true for it to return true for and. So I would use multiplication to understand and calculate this. So that is it for comparison and logical operator. Now let's move over to strings. Let's move over to strings. So I will declare a variable and call it first name. Oh, I already have first name. What's my first name? Let's see. Okay, it's in the other project, in the other file, but I can do something with it. First name is equal to John. Sorry, John, and last name is equal to Doe. Yeah, John Doe. So for string operation, we're going to get the full name of this guy. So to get the full name of this guy, we'll see first name plus, so we need a space, plus. Now this is called concatenation. So this is what we do here, concatenation. So when we run this program again, okay, there's no console. Let me console this. Console full name. So the full name of this guy is what? John Doe. And you can observe the space between this. If I didn't add this space, it's going to join the two names together. But I was intentional. I wanted to add the space because I know I don't want, it's not one name. So it's the first name and the last name, so I need that space, and that's why it is here. So this string concatenation. So this is the kind of operation that can be carried out on a string value. So this is it for expressions. I hope you've been able to learn something from all this. I'm just going to open this project so that you see everything that I've done. You can replicate it on your own Visual Studio Code and run it. Just play around with it. Use different values. You use the same different variables. Create variable. Practice and practice creating variables. Try out different all this. Working with different operators, arithmetic operators, and string operators, conditional operators, and all that. Even the logical operators. Right? Just practice, practice, practice. Everything is in practice. The more you practice, the more you get better at it. Right? Thank you for joining me today. So, in conclusion, this lesson covered the the basics of operators and expressions in programming, essential for performing calculations and making logical decisions in code. So it is important because understanding operators and expressions is fundamental for writing effective and efficient code. So what you're going to do now is practice creating and evaluating expression. Just keep practicing this. It's all about practice, 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 and practice. When you keep practicing what we've learned, you get better each time. So, and explore more advanced concepts such as control structures and functions. We're going to be talking about that soon. So if you have any question, please don't forget to drop your questions in the group. Drop your questions. I always say this, do not forget. I am waiting to hear your questions. So drop your questions and let's know your progress. Let's know your progress so far. I'm eagerly waiting to answer your questions. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next lesson. Stay locked in and let's get it. Okay, let's go get it. Give this video a thumbs up, all right, and check out my previous videos. I'll see you in the next one.